Welcome to the tutorial series in which we're gonna make songs in certain genres. So today we're gonna start making a there are gonna be a lot of parts probably. So before we get into this, let's talk about the project I have open right now. So this is basically when I always open a new live set, it appears with these groups and tracks. So we have a drums group basically and simply for drums, a music group usually for melodic instruments, synths, vocal chops and other stuff like that. And we have a basses group for basses obviously, and effects group when I put all of white noises, impacts, basically the things that are effects and don't have to be sidechained, because these three groups, drums, music and basses, are okay except drums, music and basses, these two groups are routed to the sidechain track, which is at the bottom right there, and underneath this track we have a trigger, which is just a MIDI track with a MIDI note. And what it does is it triggers the LFO tool being on the sidechain channel to just sidechain the volume of everything that goes to this channel. So it's basically like these two groups are not going to the master, they're going through sidechain to the master. So simple as that. And I made this project a lot of time ago to speed up my workflow and make me possible to write down ideas as fast as possible. We could make this more complex by adding some instruments, for example serum here we could add, and then when you have some idea, just simply open very fast a Ableton and just write down the notes. What do you have here? Okay, so in today's video we're gonna make a future bass, but before we start, take a note that we're probably gonna make some little arrangement, not so much mixing. We're gonna mix in the process, and we're gonna mix everything at the end of the video. I'm gonna show you a bunch of ways to mix your tracks. Always recommend mixing tracks on a go when you make them, but sometimes it has to be some like additional mixing at the end. You can bounce every track from here to the audio files, to stems, and then just try to mix this in a different way. By the way, mixing after is for me always harder, but maybe it's just my preference. Okay, so we're gonna make a future bass today. I have no idea what we're gonna start with. I mean, we're gonna start with this basic saw wave, and we're gonna write some chords, but I don't have any special idea. We're just gonna experiment a lot in this series to actually prove that experimenting is very important and very beneficial. Okay, so we're gonna start writing in D sharp, because I really like D sharp stuff. And okay, so writing chords is actually, you don't have to know so much music theory. All you have to know is that 3 spaces between notes, the first one, which is the root key, in this case is D sharp, and we have 2 options to write the song in major, which is these 3 semitone spaces here, 1, 2, 3 notes, right? And if you put another two notes of space here, you're just gonna get a major chord. If you want to change it to minor, you just simply grab the middle note and push it 1 semitone down. And another trick, if you want to write a 7th or 9th chords, you just grab the whole chord and just holding Control. If you're on a Windows, just drag it on the top note right there. So this is 9th, and this is 7th. As you may notice that it has the same spaces like between these. So 2 and 3, and if you want to write a seventh chord, you just make another 2 semitone space, and ninth you just make another 3 semitone space, and you have it. Okay, so another trick is, let's say you always can transpose these notes up and down one octave. Let's say this, maybe like this. I usually experiment with chords. Okay, so let's make a simple Supersaws. You just simply push this unisono 16 to the maximum. You can make a less voices, but it works. And the 16 pretty well. So you have the one oscillator, and you just turn on the another, and you push the octave one up and unisono to again. And what I usually do is that the first Supersaws are less detuned than the the second oscillator. So it's very big. Let's put OTT on this. If you don't have this plugin, it's for free by the way, but some people like ask me why do I use this plugin when I have the multiband compression and OTT preset right there. It's a little bit of difference, not so much. You can get the same result in both plugins, but I get used to this one. And now we're gonna experiment with chords. Okay, so it's very dramatic. I don't want to make it very dark. Okay, so we're gonna try to work on these chords, and it's very simple. We're gonna change the pattern in the future. So first we're gonna make a gated chords. Okay, and it actually is clipping. I usually work on very low volume, like -8, -10. So I'm just gonna drop these chords. And then while making this video, I'm gonna push the volume probably, so we can hear everything. So now we're gonna make maybe Reese underneath this with Serum and some presets I have saved in my library. Okay, I'm gonna place the same chords here and delete the upper notes, leaving just the root notes of the chords. They're gonna be our basses. Okay, so the drums now. I'm gonna make more tracks for drums actually. What I usually do is I just take a claps like this with a pretty loud transient at the beginning. Let's make this one. Let's use this one, and I'm gonna EQ it because there's some lows, and we're gonna cut this region because the snare also has a lot of frequencies in this region, as you can hear, as you can see. So and there's also a transient here, but so we don't need this. I'm just gonna use fades to get rid of this transient because we have already transient in here. So if you layer two things that have a very strong transients in at the beginning, there'll be a lot of additional useless volume. And now we're gonna place a sidechain when the kick and the snare are playing. Okay, I'm not sure about these chords, so it's pretty sad. These are pretty sad chords, and I want to make something that is much happier. So hi-hats now. Okay, so there's two ways I usually add hi-hats, but the better way, if you're not sure about which hi-hat to pick, is just put a drum rack. And on the drum rack, you're just gonna find a interesting hi-hat, which is this one. And make note that this is a little bit delayed. So now we're gonna make some hi-hat rolls. Okay, so this is a very basic feature bass beat, and probably in the process we're gonna change the scale, maybe we're gonna change the chord progression, probably like I usually do. I'm not sure about this chord progression, I'm probably gonna change it. It's not so interesting. But for now we have something arranged. We can actually start adding layers and adding some melodies, making patterns out of this. So if you enjoyed this video, you can leave a thumbs up and you can subscribe to this channel to follow this series. Let me know actually in the comments if you like this series, and